Okay, good morning everyone, and Hazak Baruch. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Thursday morning as we are studying together Perashat Shelah. Of course, our Perashat is known for the sin of the spies, where God tells Moshe, Shelach lecha anashim, if you like, you could send spies to the land of Israel and spy it out, not to see if it's good, but to see how exactly to attack. Sending spies is not something that's forbidden. It's something that we've done historically. Even later on, Joshua sends spies to the land of Israel, and there's nothing wrong with sending spies. Moshe himself sends spies to the land of Israel, and the famous words that Moshe says to the spies, Uri'item et haaretz mahi. So that is going to be found in chapter 13, Pasuk 18, when he dispatches these 12 spies. The Pasuk says, again, chapter 13, Pasuk 18. Uritem et haaretz mahi, go see the land, exactly what is it, how is it? Ve'et ha'am hayoshev aleha, go see the people. Hehazaku harafeh, are they strong, are they weak? Hama'atu imrav, are they many or few? Again, this is not Moshe trying to find out if they should go or not, or if they should back out or not. This is simply Moshe Rabbeinu trying to see how many people to send, etc. Now, these words, our rabbis point out, Uri'item. Anyone want to take a guess? Which means, exactly in English, it means to see. Go out and see. Uri'item et haaretz mahi. Anyone want to take a guess how many times in our Torah does the words Uri'item appear? And if you want to even go a little bit more courageous, where else in the Torah do these words appear? Okay? Uri'item, very good. By Tzitzit is another place. The Pasuk says all the way at the end of our Parashah, chapter 15, Pasuk 39, Uri'item oto. What does that mean, Uri'item oto? God says, look at the Tzitzit. Take a look. When we look at the tzitzit, we will remember all of the mitzvot of God. How exactly does that happen, by the way? That by looking at tzitzit, we remember the mitzvot of God. So there are two opinions. Rashi says, because the tzitzit has numerical value of, well, tzadi is 90, yud is 10, so 90 and 10 is going to be 100. And then again, the tzadi and yud, another 100, it's 200. Tav is 400, that's 600. You have 8 strings and 5 knots, that's 13, so 613. So by every time you look at the thing, you remember 613. That's one calculation. Others explain that it's through the techelet. The techelet was like a very interesting color, blue, and when you looked at it, you remember all the mitzvot. When you saw the techelet, why does blue remind you of God? Because blue reminds, what do you think of when you think of blue? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Blue reminds us of the ocean. And then the ocean reflects off, very good, the sky. And the sky is supposed to remind us of the Kiseh HaKavod. Okay? Maybe we'll get into the details of that one day. But for now, very good, Moise. So, Uri'item oto, you'll look at the tzitzit. So 2 times in our parasha, the word Uri'item appears. And they point out that it appears one more time. And that is in the book of, anyone? Where else does it appear? It appears in the book of Shemot. In the first chapter, remember when Paro was worried about the Jewish people? And he wants to maybe annihilate the Jewish people. He wants to kill an entire nation because he's afraid that they're going to overpower him, etc. So what does Paro tell the midwives? He goes and he tells Shifra and Puah, the 2 midwives, who according to our tradition are none other than Yocheved and Miriam. He tells them, Uri'item al ha'obnaim. I want you to look at the birth stool when the children are born to see very good if it's a boy or girl. Im benhu v'hamitem oto ve'im bat hi v'chaya. Okay? If it's a girl, kill her. If it's a boy, kill him. And if it's a girl, Chaya. Not that you should name her Chaya. Although I was in a synagogue this morning and he named the girl Chaya. But Vachaya means she shall live. So if it's a boy, he dies. If it's a girl, she lives. Okay, beautiful. Anything wrong? Nothing wrong. But our rabbis wonder now. So now, here's where the genius of our Chachamim come into play. So we have 3 places in the Torah that the word uritem is used. To look, see. 1, uritem et haaretz mahi. Take a look at the land of Israel, good or bad. Number 2, uritem oto. Take a look at the tzitzit. I want you to look at it. Oto, look at him. It means over here, look at him. Look at the tzitzit. And finally, uritem ala ovnaim. Take a look at the birth stool. And our rabbis now, they wonder, what do these 3 have in common? If you could figure this out, free bagel hole on me. Okay. If you could figure this out, that is very impressive, because I couldn't. And it seems to be this is a huge chidush found in the book Ma'ayana Shel Avot. Rav Shmelka of Nicholsburg. Okay, he figured this out. So if you could figure this out, you are in good company, people. Okay, Rav Shmelka from Nicholsburg. He wonders, what do these 3 have in common? And he takes us. He says, well, let me take you to the first Mishnah of the 3rd chapter of Pirkei Avot. Are you ready, everyone? Watch, unbelievable. I don't know how they figure this stuff out. Creative. Akavya ben Mahalalel Omer. The first Mishnah of the 3rd chapter. Pirkei Avot, we know, is something that we've been studying in the past, in the mornings and the evenings. It's a book of ethics from our Tanaim, from our rabbis in the Mishnah era. And the 3rd chapter tells us about a rabbi by the name of Akavya. And he wants to now give us advice. And what is his advice? He says, Histakel bishlosha devarim. Take a look, he says. Histakel, look at 3 things. Ve'i ata ba lidei avera, and you won't come into the hands of sin. Now, yesterday we actually spoke about, or the day before, excuse me, what does it mean? Ve'i ata ba lidei avera. You won't come into the hands of sin. What does it mean, into the hands of sin? So we explain that a lot of times people they do a sin. Sin is in their hand. They're holding on to sin. But sometimes a person's even worse than that. What could be worse than you holding on to sin? Worse than that is sin holding on to you. When a person is unaware that they're sinning. Or sometimes, like we said, the Yetzer Hara could come like with a long beard and appear like he's a big rabbi and try to convince you to do something that's very unthinkable. So that is already a much higher level. That's much worse. Here, you're not holding on to the Yetzer Hara. He's holding on to you. He has you in the palm of his hand. He has you addicted. And you don't even know you're addicted. A lot of times, people do things wrong. We're not perfect. Okay, nothing, we work on ourselves. But if a person does something wrong and recognizes it to be wrong, that's good, because he knows it's wrong. The danger is when we do something wrong and we think there's nothing wrong. It's fine. What did I do? I don't understand. I'm a tzaddik. It's kosher. I heard that it's kosher. Don't worry. Right? So we'll never... I'm allowed to speak Lashon Hara about those types of people. They're horrible people. I'm allowed to steal from the government. You know how much they take from me on taxes? Of course I'm allowed to steal. Yeah? I don't know. Did you ask a rabbi? Did you look in the halakha? So when a person, they'll never stop. It says that one of the rabbis says that these are mashals, but it says that he saw that one time there was a huge wave trying to overcome the ship, and the tip of the wave was white. And these are a lot of short visions that a certain rabbi had. I believe it's in the end of Masechet Baba Batra. Correct me if I'm wrong. And there's a book that the Gaon of Vilna wrote explaining each of these parables. And I think they even translated into English the kettle, the bird, something like that. Anyways, interesting. Going through all of the 10 different stories that this rabbi, again, I don't know that they're real stories. They're more of mashals that he says. But each mashal has a lot of depth to it. And he says that he saw one time, as he was out at sea, a huge wave trying to overcome him. And the tip of in the river, that's the name. Right? Okay. The kettle will burn in the river, something like that. Okay. Anyways, I think that's the book that I'm thinking of, unless I'm mixing two separate books. But either way, he says this huge wave wanted to overcome me. And he escapes, and the Gaon of Vilna explains, what kind of story is this? Is he surfing? What's he telling us about? His surfing experience when he was out at sea in the wave? He says, no. He says, you see, we are all the boat. We are the neshama. The neshama is out at sea. This world is like the ocean. And we're traveling through this journey of life, trying to get safely to shore, to the next world. But we, of course, have the Yetzer Hara, the wave, trying to overpower us. And the tip of the wave is white. Sometimes the Yetzer Hara doesn't always come black. It doesn't always look dangerous. Sometimes he comes white. He comes to you like a rabbi. It's okay. Do this. Mutarim lachem. It's permitted. You know why it's allowed over here? You should hit them because they have to learn. You should talk about them. They have to be exposed. You need to. So, this says Akavya ben Mahalel. Person needs to contemplate always 3 things throughout their life that they won't come into the hands of sin. Let's go through them. I would like to know what the 3 are. Because, after all, we all are tempted from time to time, and we come into the hands of sin, we do things that are wrong. How do I stop myself in the moment of temptation? Again, we all have different temptations, so fill in the blank. I'm not going to fill it in for you, but whatever you think is your temptation, what can we do in that moment? So I say 3 things. Number 1, da me'ayin bata. Remember where you came from. Where you come from? Where'd you come from? And he continues and he says, remember where you're going. And finally, in front of who you're going to have to give one day a reckoning, an accounting. In the future, we're all going to have to give a din v'cheshbon. Now, by the way, those words din v'cheshbon are very interesting because they sound backwards. What does din mean? Din is a judgment. Cheshbon is an accounting. Which one happens first? The accounting or the judgment? Usually what happens in a court of law, first you go through the trial, and then there's the judgment, the verdict. But it says over here the opposite. Din v'cheshbon. First there's the verdict, and then there's the accounting. Many answers are given to this question. I want to share with you just one answer as a tangent from the Gaon of Vilna, I believe. Something very powerful. The pasuk says, "Hashem tzilecha al yad yaminecha." God is a shadow. What does it mean that God is a shadow? You know, the world that we live in is filled with temptation. And after 120, we're going to have to answer up and account for all of the things that we did, the good and the bad, and the in-between, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're going to have to explain to Hashem, and there's going to be a trial, each and every single one of us, after our pilgrimage down to planet Earth is over. Oh, so that's one answer. Very good. That's one answer. Deen is for the sin, and cheshbon is for the missed opportunity. With that time that you sinned, you could have been doing good. So they're going to punish us for 2 things. That's one answer. There is another answer, though, that the Chafetz Chaim says something very, very powerful. He says, you know, this idea of getting to Shamayim is very scary. Because Hashem, on the one hand, we know He's very fair. And fair means that if I did wrong, I get punished. But on the other hand, we know that God is also kind. Hashem is chesed. El rachum shemach, el chanun shemach, rebeoni amach rachem alaolamach. Hashem is merciful, He's kind, He's compassionate, He's giving. He's a lot of amazing things. So which one is it? When I get to the heavens, is God going to be fair and exact with me? Or is God going to be very, very, very kind and forgiving with me? Says the Chafetz Chaim, that's completely up to you. Says the Chafetz Chaim, it depends. How were you in your lifetime with other people? If you're the type of guy that you're always very on the clock and very precise, if somebody makes one small mistake with you, you make them eat it and remember it for the rest of eternity, and it's all about the principle for you. And honey, I'm a very exact guy. It's not my issue. It's your thing. You were supposed to do the chores today. If a person's going to be very, very exact, the way you act in your lifetime, that's how they're going to act with us. Listen, you agreed you're going to be ready at 6. It's 6:05 already. I just like fair. I just want emet. I just want truth. Okay, yeah, really? You sure? I don't know. But just be careful. Be careful what you say. Be careful what you wish for. Because if you're a very truthful guy, then in Shamayim they're going to be very truthful with you. You need to just know that. A person, how could they do this to me? I'm going to go and I'm going to take him to court. I'm going to make sure I get every single penny that I'm owed. That's fine. You're entitled. But just know that in Shamayim, they're going to act the same way you acted in this world. If a person in this world was forgiving, somebody spilled something, somebody hurt you, somebody insulted you, and we're able to let it go, then guess what? Then in Shamayim we get there and God says, you know what? You hurt me, you insulted me, but I'm going to let it go. How do you want to act? How do we want them to act with us? And live that life. Just live the life that we want to have in Shamayim, because that's what's going to come. Hashem tzilechal yadim inecha. God is a shadow. You know what it means? God's a shadow. What does your shadow do? Your shadow does what you do. You put it out, it goes out. You put it in, it comes in. Whatever you do, you put your left foot out, you put your right? Okay. Whatever you do the hokey pokey, that's what your shadow is going to do. So we have to know, says the Chafetz Chaim, that when we do chesed, we're not just doing kind acts. When we go above and beyond what we have to do for other people, we are helping ourselves so that in Shamayim, they can go above and beyond and do more than what we actually deserve. Here's a guy who doesn't deserve maybe a good verdict. But then God says, you know what? But you were a very forgiving person. You weren't so stubborn. You weren't so stuck up on always having everything exact. Even though maybe it wasn't your turn to do the carpool. It was her turn to do the carpool. And she asked you, could you do it for me this week? I don't understand. I thought we had a fair system. 1 and 1. I did 3 this week. Why should I do 4 and she should do 2? Where's the fairness? I just want fair. You just want fair? I don't think you want fair, says the Chafetz Chaim. After 120, we don't want fair. I don't want to be a pushover. People are stepping on me like I'm a doormat. A fellow came to me, a Mr. Sony Doer, not the Sony Doer on our class, but his cousin. We have another Sony Doer from England. He told me an amazing story. When he was he lives in London, I believe still, and he said to me that when he moved into his new house, he made an arrangement with his wife. What's her chore, what's his chore, and it was her. It was on her to do the garbage. That was, to take out the rubbish. Okay. Anyways, or it was on him. It was his chore. Part of the house chores was to take out the garbage every, I don't know what days of the week, Monday, Thursday, let's say, take out the garbage. Okay. Anyways, he comes back one Wednesday night late. He sees the garbage is already in front of the house. Okay, great. Wow, beautiful. Then the next week, again, Sunday night, he goes to take it out. He sees the garbage is out there. Again, 3-4 times in a row, he sees the garbage is sitting in the front of the house already. So he goes to his wife. He says, and I just want to thank you for taking out the garbage. She's like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, I noticed that they've been put out in the front every time for the last 2-3 weeks. and I know we agree that it's my thing, but thank you for taking it out. She's like, I'm not taking out the garbage. He's like, well, if you're not taking out the garbage and I'm not taking out the garbage, then who's taking out the garbage? So he waited till the next garbage day. And as he woke up very early to take out the garbage, he noticed that his neighbor was not only taking out his own trash, but he came over to his house and he started taking out his garbage and putting it in front of the house. And the crazy thing is that his neighbor is the famous Rabbi Akiva Tatz, world-renowned speaker and kiruv master, Rabbi Akiva Tatz, and he sees the rabbi dragging out his garbage to the front, to the street. He runs over, he says, Rabbi, what are you doing? What are you taking out the garbage for me? He's like, oh, what's the big deal? Take out the garbage. Take out mine, take out yours. He's like, no, but it's not your house. I can do it. He's like, yeah, what's the big deal? I take out mine, I can do a little favor for somebody. You know what's amazing about this story? You know what's amazing? The amazing thing isn't that the rabbi did it. It's that the rabbi did it and didn't even think to tell him he's doing it. He didn't go and say, by the way, I want you to know, taking out your garbage, FYI, it's my birthday next week, just in case you want to get me a gift, hint, hint. None of that. He said, what's the big deal? I'm taking out mine, I'm taking out my neighbor's. How many times do we get stuck in life on small details? We're shoveling our front sidewalk, and we literally shovel till the line between us and the neighbor, Haz v'shalom, that we should shovel a centimeter more. It's not my responsibility. It's his backyard. Let him shovel his snow. I shovel mine, he shovels his. Gotta be exact. I'm not stealing. Am I taking anything? Did I do anything wrong? I'm a rabbi. I want you to know I'm a very tzaddik guy. I don't steal. I don't take anything that's not mine. I'm not going to make you shovel mine, but I'm not going to shovel yours. Person says a chafetz chaim, give it a little bit. You don't have to be so stubborn. A person made an arrangement with their wife. I'm going to do X, you're going to do Y. I'm going to do this, you're going to do that. You came home, she forgot to take the cleaners. Cleaners is on her. We agreed. She does the cleaners. She forgot to take the cleaners. Now you could technically, the cleaners doesn't close. You could take the cleaners. You could do it. You could take out the garbage. You have time. You see she's a little bit tired, she's swamped, whatever it is. No, she's got to take it out. We agreed. It's on her to do the cleaners. Why should I also do the cleaners? I did my 5 things. She should do her 5 things. So this is a person forgetting that you make your bed, you sleep in it. In Shamayim, they're going to act with us the same way we act with other people. So imagine a guy gets to the heavens and he's very precise his whole life. He's going to get there, they're going to say, okay, Mr. Precise, we're going to be precise with you. You did an Avirah, you're going to have to pay. But if a person gets to Shamayim, and his whole life he was forgiving, Chesed, it's okay, I'll do it. He was stepped on a little bit, he was a little bit pushover. People, he'd not take advantage, but do extra. Do extra. I don't know what you want to call it. You want to call it a pushover? To do a little bit extra? Is it a big deal? Big deal to take an extra 30 seconds and take out the garbage for somebody else? No big deal. Okay. He gets to Shamayim and say, listen, you owe Averot. You're technically guilty. The deen, the verdict, is that you're guilty. But you know what? The cheshbon, we got to now do another accounting to see how you treat people. You treated people with forgiveness. We're going to forgive you. So that's why the Pasuk says, the Mishnah, says, first there's going to be a verdict, a deen, then there's going to be a cheshbon and there's going to be a reckoning or an accounting. What happened? Why is there an accounting after the verdict? The answer is to see maybe we could lighten your verdict depending on how you treated other people. So this is fantastic stuff over here. We didn't even get to the crux of the Mishnah. But look what a rich Mishnah so far. So the Mishnah says, look at 3 things and you won't come to sin. Histakel. What does histakel mean? Look at 3 things. Number 1, where you come from. Number 2, where you're going. Number 3, in front of who you're going to have to give a accounting. And then the Mishnah goes on and elaborates again. Me'ayin bata. Where'd you come from? You came from a tipas seruha. You know what's that, my friends? A rotten drop. Every one of us. We came from the same drop. A lot of times we feel arrogant over other people. I'm better than you. I'm bigger than you. I come from better lineage. You came from a drop, my friend. Says the Mishnah, where'd you come from? You came from nothing. Don't get arrogant. Don't get haughty. A little drop. We all came from the same little drop. Ul'anata olech. And where you going? Don't forget where you're going. Where are we going? Limkom afar rima v'tolea. To a place of dust, worms, and maggots. We're all getting the same 6 feet at the end of our lifetime. How many fights people get into because of inches and property, and it's mine, I should have gotten that, they inherited it to me, and they fight, they spend their whole life, listen to me my friends, they spend 80 years sometimes fighting, 80 years fighting, and at the end of the day, we all getting the same exact size. The same 6 feet is waiting for every single person. No matter how much we amass and we could gather, but at the end of our lifetime, we're not taking anything extra. Our rabbis say, Tov Shem, Mishem Tov. Better to have a good name than to have good oil. Good oil is nice, but a good name is better. And I once heard an amazing interpretation. A good name is better than good oil. You know why? Oil, we know one of the properties of oil is that it always rises to the top, right? When you light Shabbat candles, you notice the oil goes up. Oil rises up, but there's one thing that oil cannot rise above. Dirt. You put dirt on oil, it suffocates the oil. The oil can't rise over dirt. But even all the dirt in the world, when you put it on a person, after 120, the Shem Tov, the good name of that person, will rise up through the dirt. A good name is better than good oil. So a person needs to remember, what am I wasting my time in my life with? What am I fighting over? Am I fighting over things that won't matter one day? After 120, are they going to even talk about that? The famous story of, I believe it was Rothschild. When he passed away, he wrote in his will to his kids that he wanted to be buried with his favorite pair of socks on. Well, of course, you all know, they went to the Chevra Kadisha, and the halacha is you're not allowed to be buried with anything on. And they begged, please, he gave a lot of charity, he gave so much to tzedakah, they said not allowed. Well, they buried him without his socks, and in the middle of the Shiva, the lawyer comes in with the second will. And they open it up and they read the letter, and it says, to my dear children, by now I'm sure you realized that even the socks, they did not bury me with. And I wanted to show you, my dear children, that even a pair of socks one cannot take with them to the next world. So we have to make sure we're investing, my friends, into the things that matter. We can't take our art with us. We can't take our house with us. We can't take our money with us. We can't take our socks. We can't take anything. You know the only thing we could take? The Shem Tov, the good name, the mitzvot, the ma'asim tovim, the tzedakah that we did, the chesed that we did. A man in his lifetime, the rabbis tell us a beautiful parable, had 3 friends. His best friend, his second best friend, who he sometimes neglected for his best friend. And then he had a third friend who gave him so much love and attention, but he neglected him back. he didn't really care so much for this third friend. He had more popular, more cool friends, wealthier friends. And the day arrived that this man was summoned to the king's palace. And as he starts making his preparations for the journey, he realizes the guy is shaking. What does the king want from me? I need help. I need some camaraderie. He goes to his best friend, can you come with me? And to his surprise, his best friend says, sorry, man. I ain't coming with you to the palace. You crazy? I got better things to do. He goes to his second friend. He thought for sure he'll say no if the first friend said no. To his surprise, the second friend said, you know what? I'll escort you to the gates, but not past it. And finally, he goes to the third friend who he neglected his whole life. I'm embarrassed to ask you, but I got to go to the king's palace. What do you think? Do you think you maybe... The third friend says, are you kidding me? 100%. I'm going to take you. I'm going to walk you into the gates. I'm going to plead on your behalf. I'm going to fight your case. Our rabbis tell us that man has 3 friends in this world. Our best friend, our money. We eat, we breathe, we sleep money. We think about the money. We're saving the money. All day long, it's all about the money. We're counting it, we're looking at it. We're making sure it's there under the mattress, in the sock drawer, I don't know, whatever you do, right? Then the person has a second friend, not as much as the money, but still a good friend. That's our friends and family. Our friends and family, we spent our whole lives ignoring sometimes for money. We have our children, they need us. We have our spouse who needs us, our family, our community. And they take a seat on the back burner a little bit for the money, but we're there for them here and there. We spend holidays, Shabbats, vacations. And then there's the third friend that we neglect most. That is the Torah, the Mizvot. That a person their whole life, who needs them? But our rabbis tell us that the day will come that the man will be summoned to the king's palace. And on that day, we're going to turn to our 3 best friends and ask them, can you come with me? And our best friend, our money, is going to say, I'm sorry, I can't come. There's no place for me in the next world. They don't allow me up there. And the man's going to turn to his second best friend, his friends and family. His friends and family, they do escort him to the grave, but they can't go past that. But at least they take him halfway. But after the grave, after they enter the king's palace, every person is going to turn to their third best friend, their least favorite friend, the one that they neglected their whole lives. And they're going to say, how about you? Can you come with me? And the mitzvot says, we're here with you, pal. Come, let's go. The mitzvot, the ma'asim tovim, the tzedakah, the kindness that we did. These are the only things that we could take with us. We cannot take in our death anything with us. The only thing we take are our good deeds. So sometimes a person needs to think, well, what am I trading for what? Am I trading mitzvot for money? Am I investing in something temporary? That's a bad investment. Any businessman can tell you that. You're investing in something that's dying. Money is a 100-year investment. Mitzvot is eternal. You got to invest in the right things. So never forget, where are we going? Limkom afar rima v'tolea, to a place of dirt, of worms and maggots. We can't get stuck on the wrong things in life. And finally, lifnei mi ata atid litendin v'cheshbon, a person remembering in the moment of sin, who am I going to have to answer in front of? Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu, in front of the King of Kings, the Holy One, blessed be He. And this is something so scary, especially today, where there are, I don't have to tell you, videos of people that were caught doing things, people that were videoing themselves doing things, and these videos going around. And first of all, I don't understand why people are spreading such videos. It's disgusting. It's mamash sur deoraita. The Torah tells us, lo taturu ahared vavchem, we're not allowed to look. People spreading isure deoraita. But people slowly are realizing today that everything that we're doing is being watched. And anywhere we go, there could be a camera. There could be somebody watching. How many people that they get caught into very dangerous situations? You know, people sending them pictures, fake women sending them pictures, and then boys sending these women pictures back of themselves. And then they find out that it's all a farce. And these people behind on the other side start blackmailing them. We have pictures of you. And if you don't give us the money that we want, we're going to publicize them to all your contacts. Very scary things. Children committing suicide. It's scary stuff, my friends. But today, more than ever, I think we realize that there's an eye in the sky. There's somebody watching. Everybody today is nervous. Who saw me do that? Person goes into a hotel room with someone. There could be 100 video cameras. Somebody saw, they took a picture. It's all over. If there's anything good that could come out of all of this stuff, is to create, hopefully, an awareness and a fear of reality. That the world that we live in is one day they're going to play in Shamayim after 120. They're going to play. You know what the court case in heaven is? The court case in heaven is nothing about you and testimony and witnesses. The court case is a movie. Sit back, grab your popcorn. It's one long movie of you. It's a movie of us. That's it. It's just one movie of us and everything that we did. It's a 120-year long movie of us and our lives. That's all it is. And they're going to play the footage. They're not going to need witnesses. They're going to play the footage. And we are going to see for ourselves in front of a whole movie theater of everyone watching what exactly we did. There is no denying it. And this is a 4D movie. It also goes into our thoughts. They're going to see what we were thinking as we were saying the things that we were saying. So everything, my friends, today is being watched. And Hashem is the one who's going to give us that verdict. Lifnei mi ata atin. Who are you going to testify in front of? A king, a president, a judge? You could lie to a judge. I swear I didn't do it. You could lie to your wife. You could lie to your friends. You could lie to the rabbi. You can lie to Hashem. You can't lie to Hashem. Come on. So a person remembers 3 things their whole life, they'll never come to sin. Let's repeat. Number 1, min wen jaye. What's min wen jaye? From where are you coming? Min Mizrahi. Okay, fine. Min wen raye. Where are you going? Not ushuzu watak. The third question is, and in front of who are you going to give a reckoning? In front of who you're going to have to answer one day? A person remembers these 3 things, says Akavya, look at 3 things, you won't come to sin. When a person remembers in the moment of sin, whether it's temptations of arrogance, temptations of machloket, temptations of immorality, always look at these 3 things. Comes along Rav Shmelka of Neckelsburg, and look at this beauty, my friends. The Torah tells us 3 times, Ur item. The first time is in Perashat Shemot. Paro tells the midwives, Ur item al ha'ovnaim. Look at the birth stool. When the baby is born, look at the birth stool and see if it's a boy, if it's a girl. Today it would be if he's undecided. Right? And Ur item, take a look at the birth stool and see if it's a boy or girl. Says Rav Shmelka of Nickelsburg, this teaches us to see, to bear in mind, me'ayin bata, where'd you come from? From a tipa serucha, from a putrid drop, from a rotten sperm, little seed. That's the first uritem. Look at the birth stool. Number 2, uritem et haaretz, says Moshe Rabbeinu to the Jewish people, to the spies. When you go to the land of Israel, I want you to see the land. Ay, ay, ay. Which one is that referring to? Look at the earth. Remember, le'an ata holech. Where are you going? You're going to the earth, a place of worms and maggots and dirt. See the land, says Moshe Rabbeinu. Not only to the spies, Moshe is talking to every single one of us. Take a good look at the land of the land of the earth that one day we're going to be buried into, we're going to be lowered into. Because if we ever feel ourselves getting into mahloket for no reason, look at that earth. Uritem et ha'ar, unbelievable. And finally, our Perashah tells us, in the end of the Perashah, when it comes to tzitzit, Uritem oto. What does that mean, my friends? Uritem oto. Look at him. Remember him. Remember HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Remembering HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the tzitzit, the water, the blue, the sky, God. When we look at the tzitzit, we remember God. These are the three things that we contemplate, that we constantly remind ourselves. And Be'ezat Hashem, we'll be able to be spared and saved from mahloket, from fights, from pettiness, from nonsense, to be able to live happy lives, Rabotai. Hashem wants us to live a happy life down here, not to sacrifice here. He wants us to be happy. But to be happy, we have to play by the rules. To be happy, you have to have certain reminders. People think that happiness is going to come by living just a life of frivolousness and doing what I like. No rules. No rules is better. The exact opposite. When there's no rules, when a person, take a look at the world we live in, it's chaos, it's ridiculous. When there's no rules, there's so many, in California, you know how many weed cafes are opening up? Cannabis cafes, right and left, just opening up nonstop. Drugs, pleasure, self-gratification. This is the world that we live in. Let me ask you, my friends, is this world that we're living in, with all of the freedom that we have, how is it doing? Is it faring well? Dangerous. Suicides, depressions, medications, anorexia. The craziest things. This is what happens when we live a life that's void of Torah and mitzvot. The only way to be saved from all of this is following the advice of our rabbis. Says Akavya, look at three things. You won't come into the hands of the Yetzer Hara. You won't fall into the hands of addiction. You won't fall into the hands of all the horrible things that this world has to offer. Be'ezat Hashem, we will pay attention and we'll be able to live life of simcha and of happiness. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.